Hi, I'm Michelle Concepcion, Director of Special Education Instruction and Student Performance.
And I'm Linda Chambers, Director of Special Education, Compliance, and Student Support. The purpose of today's video message is to inform you of the 2019-2020 school year Special Education Instructional Assistant Allocation process.
Here is a preview of the video message goal for today. We will begin with sharing our systemic vision for aligning our staffing resources to close the achievement and opportunity gap for our most vulnerable learners, students with disabilities from a systemic leadership lens.
Then we will inform you of the 2019-2020 SEIA allocation formula, and we will culminate with explaining the logistics and the step-by-step processes and procedures for transferring and hiring benefited SEIAs as we shift to the staff resource alignment to meet the needs of our learners.
Together, we align our work to our aspirational goals to equip our students to be empowered learners, and at the same time utilizing our resources strategically and intentionally to achieve closing the achievement gap while inspiring public confidence. Linda, let's talk about lensing this work through systemic leadership.
FCPS is focused on closing the achievement gap for our learners, and in this era of ESSA and deliberate accountability, it is imperative that we align our resources thoughtfully. A teacher is the single most effective factor in student success. Special educators, in partnership with general educators, are required to co-develop, co-implement, and co-evaluate specially designed instruction specific to students' unique needs. This is a recipe for high-quality instruction, and it's what each and every student needs to be successful. As leaders in Frederick County Public Schools, it's critically important that we work together, both as instructional leaders in the building and instructional leaders centrally, to collectively accomplish the strategic and intentional mission of realigning our resources for student success.
Together, our transparency and common messaging will be the foundation of the success of this work. As we work through the new SEIA allocation formula, we will maintain a systemic lens. We want to proactively thank you for your diligence as we work through this process. You are in buildings each and every day on the front line, messaging and lensing the work of FCPS. As ambassadors for FCPS, we trust in one another to be cautious with our messaging to our families, community, staff, and peers regarding this process.
As you can see, from school year 2016 to present, we have steadily increased our SEIA allocation each year.
We have approximately 677 SEIAs that were in positions May of 2016. And currently, we're at about 740 SEIAs as of this month. This resource allocation has budgetary implications currently at a cost of $10 million. It is important for us to recognize the magnitude of what we are dealing with when we consider utilizing our resources strategically and intentionally to achieve closing the achievement gap while inspiring public confidence.
So let's begin with the reasons for the allocation of our special education instructional assistants.
We have students who require short-term supports as aligned in the IEP or 504 plans. Usually that's around health, safety, navigation, and accessibility.
It is significant to remind us and clarify for everyone that student support does not mean one adult to one student. It also doesn't mean that each student has close adult supervision. And finally, program support in specialized programs does not automatically mean that a student requires close adult supervision when mainstreamed. We are continually working to presume student competence and encourage student agency and independence for all learners. SEIA support, when used strategically to support the needs of our students in your building, is a beautiful thing. Scheduling staff to meet the needs of multiple students at one time is the goal.
Let's discuss the SEIA request process. The request process remains the same. You will continue to make requests through the form in Google for elementary and secondary, and our office will continue to monitor your use of the allocations of SEIAs and complete quarterly reviews.
So now let's share the SEIA allocation process for school year 1920. This is new. Each school will receive a formula-based SEIA allocation. There are 3 SEIA support allocations. First, transitional support for short-term needs. Second, program support for specialized program and program assistance. And finally, student-specific support.
So here's the allocation formula for elementary schools. This is based on the caseload model. So for example, if your school has 28 students on the caseload, the special education caseload, you will be allocated 3 SEIAs.
And here is the allocation formula for secondary schools. This is based on the caseload model. So for example, if your school has 125 students on the special education caseload, you will be allocated 7 SEIAs.
Your allocations will come to you electronically on Wednesday, May the 29th. As school administrators in collaboration with your special education staff, you will be responsible for scheduling the allocated SEIAs to provide support to students as documented on their IEPs and 504 plans. Education coordinator and teacher specialists assigned to support the school will be a resource in developing support staff schedules to meet the needs of students. Please reach out to them for support if you need them.
So that was the SEIA allocation formula for next school year. You will be receiving a letter from Human Resources with a list of your non-benefited SEIAs with directions to inform them that their assignment is complete at the end of this school year.
Let's discuss the process and procedures in a logistical manner, step by step, for informing staff and the transferring and hiring of benefited SEIAs.
On May 22nd, Human Resources and the Special Education Department collaboratively reviewed the list of SEIAs currently assigned to schools.
Today, you're watching the video message on the SEIA allocation and hiring process.
On May 29th, you will receive your SEIA staffing allocation for school year 1920 for your school.
And on May 31st at 1 p.m. and on June the 4th at 10 a.m., we will conduct a follow-up webinar for principals to answer any questions that they may have about the SEIA allocation process. Links to the question and answer sessions are in your allocation cover memo.
This next action requires you to do something. On Friday, May 31st, HR will issue the letters to you to notify you of the non-benefited SEIAs in your building whose position will end this current school year. The letters will be issued to principals with the names of the non-benefited SEIAs, and principals will distribute these letters to their non-benefited SEIAs. After that is completed, you will email a list of the employees whose position ends this school year to Rob Wedge, Barbara Miller in HR, and Joanne O'Toole.
Then, on Friday, May the 31st, there's more action required of you. You will determine which benefited SEIAs that must be involuntarily transferred and the vacant positions for which you need to hire. You will send the list of involuntary transfers to Joanne in Special Education, Joanne O'Toole, and to Human Resources, Rob Wedge and Barb Miller.
A job fair will be held on June 11th from 2 to 5 p.m. at the Staff Development Center. The Human Resources Department will conduct this job fair for current benefited SEIAs and those returning from leave who need to be placed, and invitations for the job fair will come from the Human Resources Department.
And after that job fair, action is again required of you. Following the job fair, you will need to contact HR to offer positions and hire the SEIAs of your choice. And the schools will then email these hires and their names to Rob Wedge, Barb Miller, and again to Joanne O'Toole.
On June 14th, all current benefited SEIAs and those returning from leave who have not yet been hired through the first job fair will be placed. We will notify you of these placements.
And then the week of June 17th, Human Resource Department will conduct a second job fair for the non-benefited SEIAs that are trending for benefits.
Action is required from you on June 19th after this job fair. Following the job fair, you will contact Human Resources to offer positions and hire SCIAs, and you will email these hires to Rob Wedge and Barb Miller in Human Resources and Joanne O'Toole in Special Education.
So that is the process for the allocation of SEIAs for the school year 2019-2020. Please submit any questions that you may have in the question link that is in your allocation memo. And you will receive that memo again on May the 29th. And join us either on the 31st of May or June the 4th at 10 a.m. on the 4th or 1 o'clock on May 31st for any questions that you may have. We'll have a question and answer session in a webinar. And again, that link is available in your allocation memo.
Again, we want to thank you for your diligence as we work through this process together. As ambassadors for Frederick County Public Schools, we trust in one another to be cautious with our messaging to our families, community, staff, and peers regarding this new special education instructional assistant allocation process. Thanks.